Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Every day is a perfect day. There is always a reason to be joyful. Consider product placement with Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. With our presence on all major podcast platforms and listeners in over 200 countries, that makes your message international. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to discover digital products to 10x your business. Contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Shane Hunter and Craig Higdon are the owners of BetterPlan. BetterPlan is a strategic planning and organization tool for small business owners who do not have a traditional background in business. They are currently searching for beta testers for their site, betterplan.work. They would love to use their years of experience and a unique perspective on small business to small business owners who listen to this show. We believe that you will really get a lot of information from them, so sincerely, have a pen and paper handy just to jot down some notes and then be able to get in touch with them. Welcome, Shane and Craig.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome.
all righty now. So, beta testers. Let's talk
That's it.
about what we're testing.
So really what it comes down to, BetterPlan.work is how small business owners and entrepreneurs can develop long-term plans while trying to keep the lights on every day. You know, we know as entrepreneurs, you know, I can see you smiling because I think you understand that, that we are all susceptible to that tyranny of the urgent. You know, we will do what it takes right in front of us right now to say, keep our business going, keep the lights on, keep our customers happy. But it can be really tough, but really important to step back and think about what your business needs to do in a month, next quarter, next year to grow the way you want it to grow.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's so
Ain't that
true.
the truth?
I know. And, you know, it's as we think about it, you know, I first encountered this problem really when I was working at a design company. We had hired some contract developers to build an app for one of our clients. And these guys were brilliant, really sharp developers. They knew their business, or they knew the business of development. They get like a month or two into the project and one of them has a nervous breakdown. And his partner's like, he can't continue on this project. I'm like, what happened?
Wow.
And he's like, well, we're owed money from this client 3 or 4 clients ago. And, you know, like, it's caused him all sorts of stress. And that's when I first realized, like, you can be really good at what you do. You can be an expert professional and you can be a brilliant developer. You can be a great baker, a roofer, a carpenter. But unless you really know and pay attention to the business side of your business, then you're always going to be stuck kind of just doing what you're good at, as opposed to building a business that does it for you.
Absolutely. I call it the ugly side of business.
Yeah.
A lot of times people, they're really good at what they do, but the business part of it, they don't have a clue.
Yeah, it can be hard to sort of step back from the actual work.
Yeah.
If you've never done it before, you're comfortable swinging a hammer, and that's what you want to do all day. But then, how's your business gonna get any bigger when you don't know what you're doing for that aspect of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it's tough because when you're first getting started, you got to wear all the hats, all of them, even the ones you didn't know you had to wear.
Yeah,
You've never heard of them.
exactly. That's so true.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, someone talks to you about, well, what is your operating budget? And you're like, what?
Right.
What's an operating budget? Oh,
Like, well, I charged this much for this job and it cost me this much. So
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we realized was that not only were there not really tools to kind of consistently do that planning long term, but there's also this lack of information. You know,
Yes.
you can go out and hire a consultant, But consultants, you're in this spot where you hire a really good consultant. They're going to be incredibly expensive. Maybe you can't afford that. The worst, though, is maybe you hire a not so expensive consultant and they give you the wrong advice.
Right.
So what we're looking to do with our platform is not just create the mechanisms and the tools where people can create that long-term vision and take the, track the steps that they need, but also be able to load in scripts, load in the steps that they need to take from kind of a knowledge base. So, we're not trying to compete with like the big four consulting company. We're not trying to do that. What we're trying to do is give some structure to the information people maybe are getting on Reddit, maybe they're getting on YouTube. They're hearing there's such great people out there. How can they actually capture some of that and line it up and put it in order so that they can keep track of what they're doing? They can assign things out to other employees or people that were working with them or for them, so that they can see their progress over time, so they know they're growing, so that they know they're doing what they want to do to grow their business.
Yes. Wow. And that's important. And
Right.
and a lot of times when I'm working with people, first of all, you have to have a picture of your business. You gotta put it in writing. Every single piece of it. Down to my knees are bad. I know I'm gonna have some downtime because my knee's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's all about, to me, it's all about that. What do I call it? I can't even call a name right now, but I do it all the time. The plan, creating a picture of your business. It's a business plan, but it's for you.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, it's for you. And you need to understand. And a lot of times, like when I first started business, it was like, who's your niche? I don't know.
Yeah. Who told you to define that? At what point did you realize like, oh, like if I focus more, then maybe I can actually do more than if I just do everything for everyone. Because as entrepreneurs, that's almost all of our first steps is to be like, oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. That's exciting. But that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right. But then I didn't know what a niche was.
Mm-hmm.
But should I not do anything because I don't know what a niche is? And what ended up happening, your niche finds you. You just keep doing what you do. And at the end of the day, it'll all come full circle. Because I didn't know what a niche was. I mean, it was explained to me, but then it's like, well, how do I know who is going to be my niche? How do I know that?
Yeah, it's the same thing. People are telling you that you need to find your target audience. Sometimes you don't know what your target audience is. You may have a general conception, okay, you're a media company. People need media. They need this, that, and the other. But what is your particular target market and who's your niche? So I can hear what you're saying, and I think that's really true.
Yeah.
We don't always have the tools to know how to make the most of, let's say, YouTube or Facebook. Goodness gracious, because Facebook has become a monstrosity. We need guidance there. People need guidance. They just get on there and get lost. And I've heard a lot of people saying now that they are letting go of their Facebook accounts because they've just become overwhelming. So tell us a little bit more about how you structure, just give us an example of maybe one particular thing and how you structure it for people.
Yes.
Sure. Shane?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that somebody might want to do when they load up our program, load up our tool, is potentially decreasing their operating costs by 5% or their cost of goods sold by 5%. Or we'll just say that. When they jump into the tool, they can get a sort of rough framework of how to go about doing that, of how to measure what your cost of goods sold is now, because some people don't even know how to do that. And then just keep chipping away at different steps to figure out how to eventually, get that cost of goods sold down to where you want it to be. There are, in a strategic plan, there are basically 3 separate areas that become the major focus. It's operations, whether you're trying to decrease that cost of goods sold, operating expenses, become more efficient, set up processes and procedures, growth, marketing, advertising, all of that. You know what, you're well aware of everything that goes into there. And then people, employees, how to get employees, how to do more through others, essentially. And those 3 sort of key areas are basically the pillars of every sort of strategic plan. You may call them different things or make them more sort of focused as you're going through a strategic plan. But essentially what it boils down to is one of those 3 things, and how to start tracking your energy in that direction, in that growth direction, in that people direction, or in that operations direction, and make sure that what you're doing actually matters, and you can like get through your plan for your goals in that area. And when you come out the other side, you see some real difference in how your business is operating, or down in the P&L, down at your net income line. You see the actual dollars from the effort that you put into your business at that point.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Let me go back to sharing my screen.
We
No,
see
I
it.
can, it's still going.
Is that working? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So then, yeah, this is the landing page. Better business, better plan. You're an expert in your field, but not necessarily running a business. Let's help you focus your efforts, because you may be, going in 17 different directions like this, but trying to get it all in one sort of movement, one flow is important. So then I'll start. I'm not going to sign in or anything. I'll just start an open plan. But here's where it talks about how to create the goals, how to create the actions, but then also has some examples that you can use.
Okay.
So I'll just go straight into the examples just to show you that piece, show you that aspect of it. But so with here's that operations focus that I was talking about before, the growth focus, and then the people focus. So then in the operations focus, maybe you want to create a procedural handbook or decrease the number of mistakes that are made on a manufacturing line or something like that, or standardize roles and responsibilities. So I'll just go with decrease mistakes. So in this sort of example, the preview is the goal is to decrease mistakes. We want to decrease the number of mistakes by 5% in 3 months. So how do we go about doing it? Well, we're going to figure out what the current mistake level is. So we have a base. And then while you're measuring that, I'm sure you'll find some areas that could use some major improvement, some low-hanging fruit, if you will. So try to find those as much as possible. And then basically create that process to decrease the mistakes, implement that process, and then measure, get the feedback, see if it's working at all in any way. It may work, it may not work. Who knows? That's why you got to measure. So then we add that, and it added that to the plan. I'll throw in some other stuff there. Create a target customer profile under that growth focus. So the idea here is to understand your target customers, who they are, what they want, how your services can help them in any way. So this is just one of the main things is identifying their needs and challenges, and then how you will help them. So we'll add that, and we'll add increased customer satisfaction too. We want to increase the customer satisfaction by 5%. Again, this is just the default. This is an example that you can then use, maybe tweak it however you want. That's based upon sort of net promoter score, but we'll go back to the plan and we'll show you how that sort of ends up here. So we have the operations focus, decreasing the number of mistakes. That's where that plan goal sat. And then the growth focus, the target customer profile and the customer satisfaction. So within this, I'll just go, I don't know, say we want to say, so we're going to increase this customer satisfaction. We want to search up a net promoter score survey. This is just saying, hey, go to SurveyMonkey, get a net promoter score survey and send it out to some people that you know. We can either send that to the current focus. So it'll show up in here, theoretically. It's not there. I'll drag it and drop it.
Oh, okay.
And that's the next thing going there. So with the target customer profile, the first step is to create that description. So we'll drag that up there as well, and that'll be our sort of current focus for these next couple of this next week or so. It gives estimated due dates. It says, okay, June 18th is when you should have this done. All right. Here's some questions to sort of think about, some things to munch on as you're coming up with this description of your target customer. And you can assign it to somebody else if you want to, type of thing.
Oh, wow, this is nice.
But that's how that's all sort of set up. You can change the due date if you want. If you're going to a conference and you have to wait a week to be able to do it or something, you can change it there. But having that, and then it tracks the number of sort of done tasks that you've completed.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say on the decreased mistakes, we really started hitting home runs. We started kicking some butt. We finished these top 3 things. So now we're 3 out of 5 on, we've done 3 of the tasks out of the 5 that needed to be done to sort of complete that.
Very
nice.
And so this sort of is a quick high level sort of dashboard to see where you're at in all of these different focus areas to sort of help your business get forward.
I like this. I like this a lot. And this is a good team building tool as well, because whoever's on your team, you can, like you said, you can assign tasks, and then you can come back and round table it. So there's the collaboration, but there's accountability here. That's what I see. Accountability. It's not just saying something and nobody's really getting it done. The next meeting, we pull this up, we go back through the goals that we set. And did you do?
Right, exactly.
So that was actually
I love this.
One of our main inspirations came from people saying they'd go do offsites, or they'd do workshops and they'd build a strategic plan. They'd be like, great. And then they'd draw it up and then they'd put it in a binder or save it in a file, and then it would be gone. Right. And you're like, where's my plan? Well, it's somewhere. When was the last time you looked at it? And so this combines actually laying the plan out in front of you with what it takes to make the plan happen.
I love it. I absolutely
this
love
is much better than SMART goals.
We're trying.
Yeah, because this is critical. This is perfect because we have a sister circle group where it's women entrepreneurs. So we're going to be signing up, and we'll probably use this in our next meeting.
That's an idea. Yeah.
Yes, we'll use this in our next meeting. And in January, everybody had just a number in terms of how much money they wanted to make by a certain amount of time. It had to be measurable. It had to be achievable. And we can use this to see where everybody is.
Yeah. Well, and you can create, so I was just adding the examples there, but you can add new goals. There's a button to add new goals, whatever you want, and add the actions in every one of those goals
really like
to make it freeform, and you could track every individual person that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? This takes the place of scraps of paper. And like you said, that file
Yep.
that you just keep stuffing things
I
into.
mean, scraps of paper are great. I still use, I got Post-its all over the place, right?
Yeah.
But what I don't know is what happened to all the Post-its I threw away. Like, I finished
Right.
them. I'm sure I did something. I've done so much work. Like, I have no idea what happened to all of it. This also actually lets me go back and look at what I did.
Yeah.
I could flag some of them as,
Yes.
like take a note about like, oh, did that work or did that not? Just because you did the thing didn't mean that it made you the money you wanted it.
Right.
Right.
So how do you create that feedback loop between your actions and your improvements?
Right. This is great.
Now, I hear what you're saying, and I'm thinking, this is perfect. This is just right. This is something that's much needed, because small business owners tend to get lost in the shuffling. They
Right.
get lost. It's like, I have to do this, I have to do that. I need employees, I need to do marketing, and they just get lost in it. And so nothing really crystallizes. The things that need to crystallize never get to that point.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I don't know where I'm going to go from that, but I can hear what you're saying. And I really can appreciate that kind of structure, because like I said, a lot of small business owners just get lost in the sauce.
Absolutely. And before we go any further, how do people get in touch with you?
Yes.
Guys, this is just a very unique program that you had. And I know that our listeners are going to want to know, how do I get this?
Sure, right. Well, our beta sign up is at betterplan.work. You can go there and get more information about the tool and sign up to be a beta tester, to help us sort of flesh this out and make it as good as it possibly can be.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting thing about our beta test, and I'm sure you both can attest to this as well, is that every business owner knows about their business internally in a way that's so unique to them.
Mm.
So we want to make sure that the product we're building is flexible enough to accommodate whether or not someone's like I said, running a media company, whether or not someone is a contractor, they're running a landscaping company or baking, or they're a baker. How do you make something that is flexible enough? And so we would really love to hear from so many people across so many different places, and we'll be glad to have them on the tool for free. Get in there, give it a shot. We want to hear what works and what doesn't. One of the things to help keeping people from getting that lost in the sauce feeling is we've made some really specific decisions about how you can work through your overall goal. We really try and constrain and focus. Now, hopefully that constraint is a good thing, and it's not something that people feel like, oh, I can only put 2 or 3 things in here at a time. My answer to that is like, can you actually like do more than 2 or 3 things at a time while you're keeping your lights on every day? Because if so, great, but if so, you're probably also not looking for a tool that's helping you get that done. You're a wizard. You're making it happen kind of anyway. So,
Wow.
and that's the thing we need. That's the thing we need help with. We need help from your listeners to figure out.
Oh, I think that's a great opportunity. I hope people hear this and will include it when we put out the information. We'll put that in big letters. Testers needed, because
Yep.
what a fabulous place to come in and to learn about what you do and to see if it works.
Yes.
Yeah, and we have enough variety of different types of business owners that would probably listen to this, hear this, and be like, oh, I need the help, so I'm glad to jump in. I'll be a guinea pig, what have I got to do?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna offer it to both of you,
Yes.
and actually, that's actually one of my questions is when you were getting started, how did you go from that, every possibility down to what was some of your process? What helped you get through to the place you are today?
Wow. Well, we collaborated probably 3 or 4 times a week. We created a project plan, because I'm one of those kind of people. I gotta read. I have to see it. I can't keep it in my head. It's got to go directly on paper, and then I can work through the process. And then it morphed hundreds of times,
Yeah.
because once we started once you put it in action, all kinds of stuff come out.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you have to revamp it. Okay, well, this sounded good, but it really doesn't work. You
Yeah.
know, things like that. But on paper, everything looks great until implementation time. Once you implement, then a whole nother ball of worms appear.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we did. And we're still doing it because I think
Yep.
as you grow your business, you're going to constantly be doing that. You know, we went from podcasts to television, scared to death. I mean, it's like, oh Lord, we're getting ready to do this. And it's like, but every new step that you take in your business has its own set of rules, constraints, and all of that kind of stuff.
And some of the pitfalls you don't see until you start putting it into action.
Yes.
And that's when people sometimes fall apart. It's like, wait a minute, I look like Ida said, it looked great on paper. But boy, when you step into it, it's like, oh, we have just stepped into a nest of wasps. And we have no idea of how to get out of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you get to a place where you're too far in, you cannot go back.
Yeah.
You can't go back. You must figure it out.
Yep.
And that's why I like the structure of your tool, that idea of having a tool to help you in advance, get it down on paper and work it through so that you can say, okay, I'm at the point now where I need to hire employees. This is the tool that I can use. And I can see where I have some big pitfalls. Excuse that me, but that is Io, and he is just determined to be part of this interview. Anyway, that is a cat. Anyway, and he just loves it when we do this. He always tries to get into on the act. But and he made me lose my thought. Anyway, but I like the idea of that tool, and people when they're getting ready to do something, just having some kind of structure.
Yes.
To say, okay, this is how I go about this, and being able to see some of the pitfalls before they actually fall in. They can actually say, oh, well, this is what I was thinking, or this is what I want, but neither of those things is going to work. I can see where it's not going to work because I'm working through a process, and my thoughts and my wants are not going to work. And then you have to be willing to toss them out or restructure them. And I think
that's being able to see, those 3 or 4 steps in the future that, when you haven't done it before, you might not know they're there. Being able to see those goes like, oh, well, I had an idea of 1 and 2. 3 though is something different than I was expecting.
Right.
How do I change my 1 and 2, or how do I build 3 into the steps 1 and 2 in a way that makes 3 easy, that makes 3 fast? Are there things that you can change downstream that gives you a better path forward?
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Use a word that is so important. Most of us as small business owners, we are busy working upstream. We are fighting the tide, the flow. We're working upstream instead of creating situations that we can go downstream and go with the flow. And that's when we get stuck because, you just can't do that. You have to start moving in the direction. You've got to get some flow going, and flow is always downstream. You just can't go upstream. You're just going to be worn out, frazzled, frustrated, and sometimes just give up. So again, having a tool will be wonderful. It's just a wonderful idea.
Great. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. On your website, do you have like demonstrations on how this tool, just a little snippet of how this tool works?
We have videos, sort of tutorial videos on how to use it. There are also the sort of prepackaged plans, goals that we have in there that somebody can say, go to a list of examples and say, yes, that's important to my business right now. I want to add that to my plan. I want to add that to my plan, whatever.
Okay.
And then they can modify those and sort of make them their own. as they need to, as they see fit. Maybe add another step in there to help them in their specific business, because every business is different.
Right.
Most of the general framework is pretty much the same for every business in a sense, but there will be specifics that an individual business owner would want to sort of overcome and track.
Okay, now let me ask you one other question. Okay, as we're going through the tool, are there any like group type sessions that you do in order to just get a feel for what people's thought, a collaboration, let's put it that way?
So that's in our phase 2. As we're thinking about what our phase 2 is, what our next step on for BetterPlan.work is, we see a lot of options. We see options for letting, doing that collaboration, being able to share plans out to either small groups that you can workshop it with, working with people like yourselves that are established business plan owners. Would you be interested in publishing a plan to starting your own media company, or doing, kind of sharing your learning through? Or if there are, consultants, or, if you're service providers that offer certain steps of the plan, those are, though we see opportunities like that are absolutely, a potential for us. But what we really need to crack is that nut of like, how are business owners thinking about moving forward through their business? How are they doing that? Because if you can understand that and help them take those steps, then they're there. You've helped them. You'll be able to work with them. You'll be able to offer them other things in a way that's really credible, and they'll be able to understand and know that you're coming from a place of actually trying to make their business better. So,
Wow.
but we need to figure out which one of those things. We don't know which one it is next.
Oh, okay.
And so, what are your thoughts? Is that something that the workshopping idea is absolutely something that we've talked
Yeah,
about?
because one of the things I know for me, collaboration just boils my juices.
Yeah.
Especially, talking to people, because sometimes you're just reading something and you're putting this in, but you don't have anybody to bounce it off of. And I think having that bounce board is critical to all businesses, because at the end of the day, we cannot see all sides.
Yep.
When we look in the mirror, you see one side at a time. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the collaboration piece is really a critical piece, because people need to talk it out. I know.
Yep.
I do. I need to talk it out and, get some ideas, because maybe you're thinking of something that never even crossed my mind.
So would you open that up to anyone, or how carefully guarded are you about kind of the way you're moving through your business? Because that's another big question we have is, do people want to share? Or is it like, I want to share it, you want to share it with Ruth, Ruth will share, you guys will share plans on all sorts of things that you're working on, but somebody else outside of that, maybe not so much.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more like concepts. Now,
Yep.
when Ruth and I are together, is business, what we're going to do
Yep.
for just my business. But when the general public, it's a concept.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It's like putting a flow together, not necessarily telling you a trade secrets.
Oh, sure. Of course not. Yeah.
But putting that flow in place.
Mm-hmm.
What it takes
Yeah.
to build a business like this, what it took, where did we start from, and some of the pitfalls,
Yes.
some of the way we had to learn how to design certain things. Even Ida was talking about putting things down in writing, learning how to do that, and being willing to recognize that it wasn't going to, nothing is cut in stone.
Right.
Even today, nothing is cut in stone. It can change because the market changes, the demand changes, something's going to change, and you have to change with it. So that sort of thing definitely is workshop oriented.
Yes.
That's something that, I would love to talk to them about. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
More collard greens, please.
Absolutely. Wow. Again, how do people get in contact with you and be a part of this?
Sure. So our website, betterplan.work, spelled how it sounds. We're looking for beta testers. That's the best place. Just go in there, click, sign up, give us your email. We'll be in touch as soon as that beta opens. We're ready to start taking people now. So we're excited.
All righty.
I
We're
wanna say
excited too.
something. I am too. And I want to say thank you. This was a different type of interview.
Yes, it
Because
is.
this is the first time that our listeners have gotten to hear a business developing, a plan that's developing. This is like what people want to know. They're like, so, I want to own a business, but how do you go about that? And they're getting to hear that from you. I just
Yep.
caught that a few minutes ago. And that's unique to hear you building this and inviting people in to help you as beta testers. What a unique opportunity. Thank you. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much.
No,
Absolutely.
thank you for having us.
Thank
This has
you.
been fantastic.
And we're definitely
so
gonna
much
be
fun.
signing up, because I
Brilliant.
definitely, the more knowledge, the more I can learn, the better I can be, the
Mhm.
better I can serve. So
Yep.
it's
And
definitely
that service is important. Like
Yes,
that's
it
important.
is.
There are so many people that need this and can be helped by it. So
Absolutely.
we're excited for it.
This is
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
What part of the country are you guys in?
Oregon.
You're in Oregon? Oh, okay.
Yes.
We're
Wow.
You're on the East Coast. I'm in Maryland.
Yes, and I'm
Oh,
in PA.
Nice.
I
What
love
part of
this.
What part of Pennsylvania?
Littlestown.
Littlestown. I did a bunch of work with Comcast. So I was in Philadelphia almost once or twice a month for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And I really enjoyed Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was.
Quite a ride from.
Are you the other side of the state?
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
couple of hours from Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we're definitely going to have you back, and we may even talk some more about doing a workshop. And really, I'm glad we finally hooked up. We almost didn't, but here we are.
Good. That's how it goes.
That's
Hey, as small business owners, we know that.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep at it. You keep at it. So Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you both so very
Yeah.
much.
Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate it.